Back of Robert Holden's Suzuki. Robert Holden is lying sixth in the series at this stage with 21 points. Rob McElnay is the other bike with the camera. As we look forward from his bikes, he's down 10th in the series and has only 7 points. And up front in the series, after 5 legs, 2.5 rounds of this year's series, this is the way it is. And it is a very tense finale because Michael Dowson or Kevin McGee, the two Marlboro Yamaha riders, one of them will be the new Swann Series champion. Then the Honda riders will be trying to keep them honest. And behind them, the Suzukis of Roger Marshall and of Robert Holden, Anders Anderson, and up towards the top of the hill comes Rob McElnay Motorcraft.
And Peter Clifford, concerned for the riders on this bumpy lakeside track with a number of sections where they can easily crash.
As we look at the field going through and the times that they did in the first heat, 61.0, a new lap record for Malcolm Campbell. He did 2 of those and a 61.1. Kevin McGee did 2 61.1s and Michael Dowson a 61.4 as we run through the field for what I'm sure will be a very exciting 15-lap race.
Yes, it is exciting, and as you were saying, John, you know, you do wonder when you see the guys out on this virtually Armco-lined circuit, what would happen in the heat of battle if one or more of them overstep the mark. And we can only hope that these professionals do keep control of their situation, keep the bike under control, and we have an exciting race, and everybody ends up crossing the line.
Peter, for a professional like yourself who spends the year travelling the world at the Grand Prix races, a degree of anxiety over this circuit.
Yes, we've been fortunate in Europe because in Europe we have huge crowds at race meetings. It's not uncommon to see 250,000 people at a race meeting in Europe. Of course, that means there's a lot of money in the sport, and the riders are being able to force the organisers to improve the safety arrangements. So we now no longer have sort of daily concern over life or death situation out on the track. Racing is always a dangerous business, but it has been made safer. Of course, things are more difficult here. There's not the population in Australia to support racing, and a lot of circuits are run more on a shoestring, and they don't have the money to do the necessary safety improvements.
At the end of that brilliant first heat, Kevin McGee was cool and calm, and his crew said, "How do you feel? How many more laps could you have done?" He said, "Oh, till the tyre wore out." And they said, "What do we need to do to make the bike right?" And he said, "Put a new rear tyre on it, one that grips." Michael Dowson looked very worn. This is the final, and the series rests on it as they blast away, and McGee and Dowson, the confidence, get away well. McGee leads the field. Robert Holden looks back to Jeffrey Sales' bike, number 10. And Rob McElnay looks forward. And that's what it's like to be in the middle of the pack on Anders Anderson, and packed in there too is David Lucci on 44 as Kevin McGee leads Dowson to Malcolm Campbell.
Dowson goes to the inside on McGee. Can't do it. And
in 4th place there was Peter Goddard. Rob McElnay looking on Anders Anderson too, can't get round. And they thunder and growl and howl their way down to Hungary Corner. These fast super bikes and Formula One and prototype bikes in the case of the Hondas. 2 Yamahas leading the Honda of Mal Campbell and the Honda Moriwaki of Peter Goddard. And look how close the entire field is, and tail end at the moment is 24 Jeff Paul. Streaming onto the straight they come. McGee in position to win the series if he can hang on here.
It's absolutely essential, Peter Clifford, that Mike Dowson keeps something in reserve for those final laps. Dowson goes up the outside of McGee. Now, will he switch to the inside? Can he do it?
No, Michael Dowson pulled the wrong rein there, and that was not wise, and Kevin McGee would have loved it. It was not hard for McGee to keep him shut out from that situation. Although he took the classic line, he wearing the bike out doing it, and his tyres, and watching them both with Mal Campbell, that gives you an idea of it. Fearfully fast from Robert Holden's Suzuki. The action Suzuki, and the action sure is on the lakeside track at the moment.
Now, Dowson said that he had a rear suspension problem in the first leg. We saw the back end of the machine shaking around, and he will have made changes, and let's wonder if it's an improvement that is going to allow him to tackle McGee.
Roger Marshall is 5th. You just saw him there behind Peter Goddard, who's in 4th place, and then, of course, it's McGee, Dowson, Campbell. Lap 2 completed.
Dowson right on McGee's tail. Nothing in it at the moment, but Dowson not yet been able to get alongside him after that first lap.
Robert Holden, incidentally, we've been looking off the back of his bike. He's in 6th place, presently just in front of Michael Doohan, also riding a Marlboro Yamaha 51. And then on 4 is Rob Stollier, well back in 8th place, and 99 Aaron Slight on the Bob Brown Ducati. Dowson's all loose and untidy there as he gets the power on, and McGee is not worried at this stage about his opposition. He just wants to get his lines right and keep it tight and tidy and let Michael Dowson do that sort of thing, and Kevin McGee's looking for quick, efficient, fast lap time to get away from both of them and to win the 10th Swann Insurance International Series. A series that was won in the first year by Jeffrey Sale, then by Greg Pretty from South Australia, then by Graham Crosby, who was a runner-up in the World 500 Championship, then in 81, 84 and 85 by Wayne Gardner, the reigning World 500 champion, by Dave Hiscock in 82, Mal Campbell in 83, Rob McElnay last year, so 7 winners in the 9 years of it so far. Wayne Gardner's the only man who's won it more than once, and he's won it 3. And one of the 2 men in 1st and 2nd place at the moment must be the new champ. Oh, lovely shot there of what they call the bus stop area. And now down towards Hungary, and McGee trying to pull away just a little bit. Got about a 1/10 of a second in it. And that's very optimistic. It's closer to a 1/3 of a second, really. If you can get the watch clicking that fast. And Mal Campbell on 3's in 3rd. And he's losing ground to them, but he's hanging on in the way that only Malcolm Campbell can, and is prepared to, with the bike sliding and bucking and weaving. The big 750 Honda, I say big, that's not entirely true because it's a small capacity bike compared with the Yamahas, and all of them are really pretty small machines for the power that they deliver. But he is the new lap record holder here, unless it's beaten in this race, 61.0. 137 kilometres an hour average, Malcolm Campbell.
And as we watch what now seems to be a demonstration by the 2 Yamaha riders, I think it's a lot has got to be said of the work that was put in by Warren Willing and his team of mechanics, because these 2 bikes didn't arrive from Japan as race winners. They certainly had a lot of trouble with them in the early practice sessions. They had engine problems that would normally stop a bike completely in a race, and yet these things, touch would have been absolutely reliable when the chips have been down.
1.2 seconds, blanked at the first 3, with international Kevin McGee leading them. The man who was runner-up with him in last year's Suzuka 8-hour race that Kevin won this year because Michael Dowson couldn't compete, was injured and couldn't partner McGee in what was to be an all-Australian team. And then Mal Campbell too, who's had international racing, qualified 2nd on a bike similar to that for the Le Mans 24-hour race earlier this year. But the bike, in a problem that had nothing to do with the revolutionary design of the engine, had a problem. It was just a bearing turning around, and Robert Holden off and pulling up.
And Holden getting back on the bike, obviously not hurt, but you had a view there of what it's like to be lying in at the side of the track up against the rubber tyres.
Dowson looking for something, so too Malcolm Campbell. They need it to answer this man, who looks so smooth and quick, who really, the essence of race riding is, as you see Robert Holden getting his helmet off and giving it away, the essence of race driving or riding is to slow everything up and be cool and calm and to be able to think. And Kevin McGee's a master at that. As his crew said, he just loves laying rubber and getting the thing sideways where it's a panic to other people. To Kevin McGee, it's an absolute ball. But he hasn't got away from them. Michael Dowson's playing it fairly smart, I think. And Malcolm Campbell too, because they really are right with him. And I suspect where I thought McGee was getting away, I suspect that he is still potentially under threat.
Now there's absolutely no chance there of McGee taking things easy, because these men are still sitting right on his tail, and just a missed gear, one missed movement of hand or foot, and they'd be all over him.
0.76 of a second separates Kevin McGee from Michael Dowson.
And Malcolm Campbell's nice and close to them as well. And this is what's going on behind Scollier. And behind Robbie Scollier is Goddard on 14. Roger Marshall's been pushed back a little bit, and Michael Doohan on 51. Look at them there, hooking into it. Great racing further back. The best of the visitors in terms of results in this series is Roger Marshall there.
And Marshall complained that he too had suspension. Doohan goes inside. Great riding from Doohan. Roger won't like that at all. Doohan just nipped inside him beautifully there as he chases Goddard through the bus stop. Goddard has ridden well all through the series. We haven't seen Doohan before, but he's really very, very impressive and has now eased out Roger Marshall. Marshall said he had suspension problems in the first leg and just couldn't get the power to the ground. He put on a heavier spring, and of course this may not have helped because now Goddard and Doohan have got away from him.
And so McGee's got away to about nearly a second on Malcolm Campbell, who's second, and Michael Dowson's back to third place as they now complete lap 8. They're on 9 in a 15-lapper. And Malcolm Campbell, who cannot win the Swann Series, is out after Kevin McGee. It would make no difference to Kevin McGee if he were beaten by Campbell as long as he finished in front of Dowson. Yes, it would. They'd be tied on points. And then the highest place in the final race, I think, would give the series to McGee. So he could afford to let Malcolm Campbell get in front. But I think he'd rather win the race in the series. Good racing at Lakeside Circuit today, particularly in the Swann Series. McGee there runs a little bit wide, a little bit late hooking it into the corner. He still maintains his position over Campbell.
And it's a dicey thing to do at Lakeside. So many of the corners rush off camber on the way out that using all the road can be a very tricky proposition indeed.
They come past the pit square. Malcolm Campbell's crew tells him he's nearly 1.5 seconds behind now and that they've completed lap 9. Kevin McGee, one of the masters of Australian motorcycle racing. Malcolm Campbell's wanted to say through the year, well, every time Kevin's come back from overseas, that I've looked after him. But when the chips were down in this series and they came to Lakeside and he didn't have a win on the board, Kevin McGee, and I said earlier, I don't think McGee will be prepared to leave this series without winning at least a race. As it turned out, from a 7-point deficit, he's come from behind and looks like stealing the series from the man who 2 weeks ago at Oran Park, Michael Dowson, his teammate, we were saying, will he win all 6 heats and get the $50,000 bonus? McGee from above, and I reckon a helicopter would be pretty strapped to stay with him on a flying lap round here. He'd have to cheat a little bit in the corners because the man is flying. And he's pulling ground now on Malcolm Campbell, 1.8 seconds, and back to Michael Dowson, 2.5 in third place, so it's 3.5 blanket the first 3 now. And further back in fifth place, Scollier is pulling away in fourth. There is a real battle on. Superiority. Did a 61-1, but one of their 61-1s he did was on the 14th lap last time when the tyre had gone, sliding everywhere. He said, well, you can't have a good tyre all the time, you know. You just got to deal with it, and what you mustn't do is light it up and get it spinning. You've got to keep it driving. And he really has such great sensitivity and natural feel for the machine. I do think if he can withstand the pressures of Grand Prix racing, that the talent of the man will take him on to great things in the World 500 Championship next year. Have a look at this battle, Rob. Michael Doohan has been pushed back in 5th place to 6th by Peter Goddard. He's come up, and Robbie Scollier's in 4th place on number 4. So Doohan's 5th and Roger Marshall 6th. And this is the battle now that's taken over, as Roger Marshall said after the first heat. Oh boy, it was busy where I was in the race. Doohan underneath Goddard. No. So close. Peter Goddard, the Morawaki Honda, the 820cc Yamaha of Michael Doohan. What a good little talent he is too, as he gets inside Goddard. And he leads him, and he gets his apex right as they get it through the bus stop area, as he did a few laps ago.
Yes, exactly. Well, that's the same place that he got Roger Marshall. He's got that weight up perfectly. A real tight line going in, and yet still manages to get his own. But Goddard comes back. Goddard uses a bit more power that the Moriwaki seem to have, and obviously you've got a really good drive out of the corner to get past Doohan.
Peter Clifford, you know better than most people the credentials of Roger Marshall and the other riders that these Australians take on, and we really do have, don't we, by any standards, some great talent in this country.
Yes, and you do, and I think what's come out of this series is that not only do you have great men up front like Dowson and McGee, but you've got this depth of car, because look at Peter Goddard and Doohan. They really are putting on a great show, and Roger Marshall at the moment appears to be at a loss to know what to do about it.
He's saying, dear oh me, badly behaved, these Colonials. I thought I was coming down here for an easy time. I mean, he and Rob McElnay were on the golf links yesterday by the time we left the racetrack.
Yeah, Marshall, though, takes his racing very seriously, and he was disappointed after the first leg, as I said, with the suspension performance. Put on a different spring, hoped it would make the difference, and of course we can't tell, but maybe it made the bike worse instead of better.
It's 2.7 seconds from Kevin McGee back to Malcolm Campbell, and it's 3.5 seconds back to third place Michael Dowson, so things not changing as this furious battle for 5th, 6th, 7th place continues. There's the man with a 2.5 second lead and the Swann Series Championship in his sights, and it really will be to his credit, I think, Peter Clifford, when he goes overseas, and the way that he took it calmly and has come from behind.
And he's just overtaken Jeff Sale there, and Jeff Sale, of course, was the first Swann Series winner. Sad to see Jeff not doing so well, but of course he doesn't really like these big four-strokes. He's still a tremendous force to be reckoned with on the little 252 strokes. But McGee way out in front now, and apparently in a class of his own at the moment.
Going past John Goulet's Suzuki, yes, Jeffrey Sale said earlier in the day, only one race to go. He just doesn't like these big things. They're bucking and weaving, and he said, what to me is drama, and the thing feels nasty. Kevin just loves it.
Last lap board comes out now. Just 2.4 kilometres remaining in the Swann Insurance Motorcycle Series for 1987. The last race for Kevin McGee for the Marlboro Yamaha team. He goes next year to race for the Lucky Strike team, Yamaha.
The last race for the same team overseas, well, under this brand name for Rob McElnay and the defending Swann Series champion, who really has been out of it from the start of it this year.
Yes, Rob's not had a very happy series. It was so late him signing on to come. The organisers only got him to come at the very last minute, and unfortunately Yamaha, and that's Doohan down, but he's okay. Unlucky for Doohan on what must have been the last lap. He's got the bike going again, he's back in action, but after a great determined ride to slide off with only just over a lap to go.
Kevin McGee now swoops down through the last corner on the track, and what a way to see out his Australian career as he heads for international stardom. Kevin McGee wins the Swann Insurance Series for 1987.
And he finishes the race about 5 seconds in front of second place Malcolm Campbell, and his teammate Michael Dowson, the man who led the series up until this final race, is 8.4 seconds in arrears from Campbell in third place. And then the battle coming to the line, out of which Michael Doohan has dropped, sees Roger Marshall just in front of Peter Goddard to take 5th place Marshall, 6th place Goddard on the Moriwaki Honda. Well, the 10th Swann Insurance International Series wound up with Kevin McGee coming from behind in the last race, finally to finish on 78 points from 4 seconds and 2 enthralling, hard-fought first places to pip his Michael Dowson, his Marlboro Yamaha dealer teammate, who finished with 75 points from the two Hondas of Malcolm Campbell, Rob Scolyer, 59-48. Then the best of the visitors, Roger Marshall, Suzuki, Peter Goddard on the Moriwaki Honda, and Robert Holden, a privateer, on the Action Suzuki in 7th.
And to present Kevin McGee with his trophy for winning the 10th annual Swann Insurance Series is Philip Watson, the marketing manager for Swann Insurance.
On behalf of Swann Insurance, I'd just like to thank Kevin very much. It's been a great series this year. It's been a top 10th anniversary series, and congratulations, mate. Here's a perpetual trophy. Hang on to it and treasure it.
Thanks very much, Bill.
No worries, mate.
Kevin McGee. jubilation on the grid at Lakeside as the man who snatched the Swann Series, Kevin McGee, gets the accolades of the crowd. Kevin, congratulations.
Thanks very much. Thank you.
Kevin, you were always behind. You were always coming second in the first 2 rounds. Did you ever think that you weren't going to win the Swann Series?
No, not really. I remember hearing Mel Campbell say, I think after he won the 83 Swann Series, that he won it, but he didn't win an actual race. And I thought if I kept coming second all the time, something like that might happen. But fortunately, I got underway and got a couple of firsts.
Well, Kevin, sensational stuff today. And your last ride for Marlboro Yamaha, and potentially your last ride in a domestic race in Australia.
Well, yeah, it's no more racing this year under the Marlboro team, and next year I've signed, well, I haven't actually signed up yet, but I'll be riding with Kenny Roberts in his team, in the Lucky Strike team, and fairly looking forward to that. Should be good.
In one respect, very happy to win the Swann Series. In another way, perhaps a little bit sad that one part of your career is coming to an end, Kevin.
Yeah, well, I guess it's part of doing anything. You keep trying to go up, I guess. And fortunately, you know, I've made it out of the Australian side of things. So hopefully, I'll be able to keep going.
Kevin McGee, congratulations. We all wish you the very best for your international riding career. We're going to be following you all through next year as you race against the other great Australian, Wayne Gardner. That's the way the Swann Series gone, here at Lakeside and throughout Australia for the last 3 weekends. It's been sensational racing, as the Swann always has been. On behalf of Peter Clifford and Will Hagan, I'm John Smales. Back to Peter G at Sports Arena.
Thanks, John. Again, unbeatable motorcycle action from the Swann Series. It never fails to turn it on. I'm sure 1988 will be no different. And as you heard from John, we've got 2 Australians to cheer for now in the World Championship. Wayne Gardner, the defending champion, and he'll be racing against Horsham's own Kevin McGee. Congratulations to Kevin winning his Swann Series this afternoon. To soccer, and the race for the English League title is hotting up with the crucial Christmas New Year period approaching. Overnight, the league leaders Liverpool had the daunting task of travelling to Southampton's home ground, the Dell.
A crowd of 19,500 turned up at a ground where Liverpool had won only twice in their previous 9 league matches. But they started well. 10 minutes gone, John Aldridge to John Barnes, and that's 1-0. Then, after 37 minutes of Liverpool domination, they increased their lead with a goal of stunning quality. John Barnes, who was showing world-class form on the wing, was again the scorer. He cut inside, played a 1-2 with Ray Houghton, and the England international shot was too good for any goalkeeper. But on the stroke of half-time, Southampton was suddenly back in the match. Colin Clark's header dropping in with the goalkeeper clearly thinking it was going over. Celebrations followed, but Bruce Grobbelaar only misery. In the second half, Southampton were transformed, and with 20 minutes left, they equalised. Glenn Cockrell with the cross, Andy Townsend with a perfect finish. In the last minute, Liverpool almost lost that unbeaten record. Grobbelaar floundered, and Matthew Letizier's header was hooked off the line by Steve Nicol. Final score, Southampton 2, Liverpool 2.
So Southampton holding the league leaders to a 2-2 draw, or was it the other way around? The London derby between Chelsea and West Ham, a 1-1 draw, while Everton, Merseyside team, did have a victory. Everton defeating Derby comfortably, and the same went for Manchester United over Oxford. Newcastle and Portsmouth playing a 1-1 draw. Sheffield Wednesday going down at home to Wimbledon 2-1, and Watford going down at home to Luton 1-0. So the English League table sees 6 points separating Liverpool and Arsenal, though the Gunners get their chance to again tighten the gap tonight. They play in the Sunday television game in England. Everton, they've latched onto the opportunity to move up. They've gone to 3rd, now 5 points behind Arsenal. Manchester United have jumped 2 places as well after their comfortable victory. Gordon Strachan scoring 2 goals in the first half to set them on the way. Queen's Park Rangers in the doldrums a little bit, equal on points with United. Then Nottingham Forest, who, like QPR, didn't play overnight, 1 point further back. Chelsea in 7th, then comes Wimbledon, Luton and Southampton. Looking at the other half of the table, Derby on 24, West Ham 23, and then 3 teams on 22, Tottenham, Newcastle and Oxford, then Sheffield Wednesday, Coventry, Portsmouth, and down in the relegation zone, Watford, Norwich and Charlton. Wrapping up sport around Australia and also New Zealand. First up, it's the New Zealand Open Golf Championship, which was finally decided this afternoon in Wellington, and victory there going to Ronan Rafferty from Northern Ireland after seven holes of sudden death with Larry Nelson of the USA. They both finished at 9 under the card. Wayne Grady, a 66 today, to finish at 7 under in third place. Then came Mike Harwood. He dropped 2 shots today to finish equal fourth with defending champion Roger Davis, who picked up 2 shots. As did Mike Ferguson. He finished in 6th place. And Ozzie Moore, another Queenslander, he finished -3. David Llewellyn and Ian Baker-Finch were next at -2. To Sheffield Shield, and over in the west, New South Wales beaten inside 3 days by the Sandgropers, winning by an innings and 10 runs. While at the MCG, a very interesting match in prospect, Victoria declaring 143 behind South Australia's first innings total of 468, Victoria 8 wickets down, and in reply in their second innings, South Australia have lost a wicket. So Simon Davis would be happy, the Victorian skipper making that declaration and picking up 1 wicket. The man out, Andrew Hilditch. So it's Bishop joining Hazeman at the crease. And in the test, over there in Adelaide, Australia going along great guns thanks to Alan Border and Stephen Waugh. Alan Border 13 runs away from yet another test century. Stephen Waugh following along nicely. Richard Hadley has picked up 3 wickets. Martin Snedden, in fact, hasn't got any wickets at this stage. Well, that's Summer Sports Arena for this Sunday. If you've just joined us wondering where Charles Slade is, he'll be enjoying summer for the next 9 weeks, and I'm sitting in the chair, and we'll be bringing you Summer Sports Arena both Saturday and Sunday. Hope you've enjoyed this afternoon's program. Look forward to seeing you next Saturday afternoon. Until then, it's goodbye from Sports Arena.